This is an area we generally confront when we write answers, make a comparative study, okay, talk about similarities and talk about differences. See, life is all about similarities and differences, and that's how we understand life, right? So there are similarities, there are differences, and life is full of all that. So that is the reason we like somebody, we don't like somebody. We have similar thoughts and ideas that we share, and if we have contrasting ideas and opinions, uh, then we don't get along with that person, so we are not fascinated, right? But that's how life becomes interesting. So similarities and differences are very, very important. They are obvious in life. They come by default in our life, right? So comparison and contrast, friends, I am sure with this PPT and with briefing, with whatever I am going to try with this, it will make your work easy. Whenever you have such kind of questions, you will be able to compare the data, point out similar points, and point out differences. Okay, similarities, pointing out similar points, and jotting down differences is one of the ways to study that thing in properly. अगर आप दो चीजें पढ़ रहे हो, ए है बी है, प्रोसेस ऑफ क्रॉप ए, प्रोसेस ऑफ क्रॉप बी, or cultivation process of crop A and crop B. If you're studying it independently, instead of that, what if you study it in comparison? This is how this crop is cultivated during winter, whereas this crop is cultivated during the summertime. This crop is a cash crop, and this particular crop is a what do you say, commercial crop or cash crop or rabi or kharif, something like that. Now, I am not a student of agriculture, but I will try to bring about the best of my knowledge, and I will try to sync that knowledge with your curriculum. So instead of studying two different crops and their process and patterns and cultivation patterns, if you put them together and compare A and B, how this is cultivated, what is the cultivation time, okay, what kind of nutrients are required for crop A, are they same to crop B? No, they are different. So when you learn things that are different from each other, when you keep them in front of each other, you retain information in mind. म्हणूनच आपण फरक ओळखा, फरक लिहा, दोनों में फर्क क्या है ये पहचानो और वो फर्क को एलैबोरेट करो. ऐसे क्वेश्चंस जो है ना, उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन आपको ज्यादा अच्छे से दिमाग में रहती है. You can retain information in mind if you use this skill in your study. Okay, that is the reason I thought of including some points here. So basically, comparing and contrasting, they help you identify similarities and differences. Okay, with this technique, it is easy to comprehend. Comprehend means understand. Understand the differences. Okay, and important details. See, when I was a child, I was in a school, we used to like kind of draw a line in between. Okay, what is the difference between A and B? And we used to draw a line in between. A, definition of A, B, definition of B, example of A, example of B. This is how we used to differentiate. But that was something easy for me to retain in mind. This is the power of learning differences of two things, two ideas, two elements. Okay, what is the advantage? Details are highlighted and it is easy to retain information in mind. You can retain information in mind. वो information आपके दिमाग में बहुत ज्यादा टाइम के लिए रहती है. ती गोष्ट तुमच्या डोक्यात जास्त चांगली लक्षात राहते जर तुम्ही त्याचा फरक करून समजून घेतलात. साम्य आणि फरक हे दोन्ही पद्धतीने तुम्ही शिकलात, तुमचे जे टॉपिक्स आहेत ते, तर तुम्हाला त्याची जास्त मदत होते. आपको उसका ज्यादा फायदा होगा. सिमिलैरिटीज और फर्क, इसके हिसाब से अगर आप कोई टॉपिक पढ़ोगे तो. ओके, सो दीज आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. लेट अस लर्न हाउ टू डू इट. Okay, can you quickly spot 5 differences or at least 2 differences in these pictures? What are the differences? This is something I always used to like. Okay, cloud near sun, window grills, round shape upside near roof, Yellow doormat. Wonderful, Rama Devi. You have been very prompt. Come on, I want answers from other students also. बताइए और स्टुडंट्स. चला इतरांनी पण सांगा मला की काय तुम्हाला फरक दिसतोय या दोन चित्रांमध्ये. It's a small house in the village, like greenery, sun and mid are in front of the door. Yes, mat is there in front of the door. Yes, very good. Praveen. Yes, Praveen, I'm glad to see your response. Keep it up. Good. Very good. So, did you like three fence? Yes, you should say yes. Three fences, wooden fences. Yes, yes, yes. Khan Ma. Yes, correct. So, did you like this activity? Did you like it? Circle on the building. Mhm. Circle on the building. I'm not getting what you're saying. Are you trying to say the chimney circle? If you're trying to say that, there's a cloud above the house. Yes. Okay, got it. Yes, got it. uh, there is a hole kind of for ventilation above the door, and in the left side picture it's not there. I got it. Yes, Khan Ma, I got it. So did you like this activity? Did you like this activity? Yes, no. Type yes or no in the chat box. Yes. Okay. So if I had given you picture number 1 and picture number 2, and I would have asked you to tell me what do you see? There is a sun and there is a house and it has a window and it has a chimney, and it has clouds. I can see clouds in the sky. Instead of that, if I put forth two pictures, okay, and if I ask you to spot the difference, it becomes something that it clicks in your mind and you remember, you spot the difference quickly. Why? Because it is easy to compare. Okay, it is easy to compare, and you are encouraged to compare the data this way. This is the power of contrast in life. Our life is full of contrasts. Okay, so let us read an essay. Okay, I am reading this essay. Please pay attention, all of you. High school versus college. I'm sure you will like this topic. Many people, are you able to read this? Can you say yes? Are you able to see it? Is this essay visible to everybody so that I don't miss out on it? Somebody can say yes in the chat box. High school versus college. Okay, thank you, students. Many people believe college is just a continuation of high school. However, the two have distinct differences that can't be ignored when you walk onto a college campus, and it isn't just that newfound freedom. Examine the similarities and differences of college versus high school by looking at the structure, teaching style, and grading. In high school, the structure is easy to see. Most students have followed it for at least the last 8 years leading up to high school. Students spend about 6 hours a day or 30 hours a week learning various subjects in structured time increments. To make sure everyone attends, buses usher them to school. Additionally, teachers use a lecture style with textbooks and notes on a chalkboard. Students ask questions during lectures and take notes. Most of the time, the lecture follows the textbook. Furthermore, using textbooks and standardized rubrics from the state, high school students receive grades based on what they comprehend of the material. Teachers use homework, tests, quizzes to assess their ability. Students receive additional or extra credit to help raise their grade. While college does have a structure, it's very different from high school example. Students follow a schedule, but it is a schedule of their own choosing. Rather than 6 hours a day in class, full-time college students spend 12 to 18 hours per week attending classes. The school years follows a semester or quarter system that covers fall, winter, spring, and summer. In addition, when it comes to teaching styles, college professors aren't going to go by book. While books supplement learning, their lectures are full of interactive materials, illustrations, personal experience, their own expertise in subject. Rather than giving all information, teachers expect students to find it on their own through research assignments and homework. And if students have questions, it's their responsibility to seek teachers out. Lastly, professors expect students to apply their knowledge. So when it comes to grading, it is more based on students' ability to apply his knowledge to unique situations, and tests can make or break grades. Some professors test this knowledge only a few times through semester tests. Failing a test could mean failing the course. High school and college are both institutions of higher education using classes, grade structures. However, that is where the similarities end. The structure, teaching methods, grading styles are completely different between those two institutions. Now, what we have done, my dear friends, we have compared high school life and college life. I'm sure you can resonate with this and you can connect with the fact. Now, you are writing an essay on comparing and contrasting. What you're comparing? High school life and college life. Okay? You're putting forth similarities and you're pointing differences. How you will do it? First of all, give a proper introduction. Okay? You need a two-liner, three-liner introduction that people think that, oh, college is the next step of school. So it's just an extension of school. No, it's not. Okay? These two have differences. So here we introduce the topic that the college life and school life is different. And the intention of this essay is to examine similarities and differences. This is the introduction. What is the aim of your writing in short? Hmm? Now, here, what is basically high school? How many hours you spend in a high school as a student, as a school going student? Okay, you spend 8 years, you spend 6 hours a day. Okay, this way you spend 30 hours a week, you learn subjects. Okay, you have to attend school every day, it's mandatory, compulsory. Buses make sure that you go to school, compulsion. Okay, teachers give you lectures, but the textbooks are bibles. Teachers also use textbooks seriously, strictly, religiously. And students ask questions and they take notes. Okay, but there is a standardized rubrics, there is a fixed pattern of studying in a high school, and each and every student has to follow it. Okay, so there is homework, there are tests, there are quizzes. This is the structure of school life, academics in school life. Now, my dear friends, how it is different from college life. Okay, college has a structure, but it is very, very different from high school. Students have schedule, but then it's not compulsory for them to attend so many hours, attend sessions for so many hours. Okay, so they can spend 12 to 18 hours per week. It is up to them. So lesser compulsion, more freedom given to students. Okay, college follows semester pattern. Okay, then what is the teaching style? The teaching style is lecture method, and the core resources are textbooks in school. But in college, you have n number of books to refer to. Okay, and professors and teachers are not just teachers, they are your facilitators. Facilitators means what? They help you understand the subject, they give you material. I will give you reference books, I will share some links with you, I will share some PPTs, illustrations with you, I will share my own experience. Now you learn yourself and build your own experience. You tell me, what is your experience about it, how you have built a better learning from it. So professor is a facilitator, he's a guide, but he doesn't give you everything in a platter. College life, in college life, it is expected that you do a lot of self learning, which is which is different from school life. Okay, so you have research assignments and tasks instead of typical homework that you get in schools. You have research assignments and tasks in college life. This is the difference. Okay, difference that is mentioned here. College life. Now, what is major difference? Professors expect students to apply knowledge, use your knowledge in real life. In school life, every time you're not able to use the knowledge because you are young, but you become a little bit older and you can apply that knowledge in your life when you're in college. Okay, so how is grading happening in college life compared to schooling? Grading, it has tougher criterias. How students can use the learned knowledge, the learned information in real life situations. Okay, if you have learned the growth, the process of growth of a particular plant. Okay, if you are taken out on an excursion on a farm, how well you practice it with your teachers. Your teachers are going to take a note of this and teachers are going to give you marks, internal marks based on that. Your grades will depend on knowledge तो आपने लिया है लेकिन वो यूज कर रहे हो या नहीं, ते तुम्ही प्रत्यक्ष आयुष्यात वापरताय की नाही. Application, apply knowledge. So how well you apply the gained knowledge is tested in your college life. Okay, this is stressed upon. Application of knowledge is essential, and your grades will depend on how well you apply the knowledge, gained knowledge. Okay, these are the core differences between school life and college life. There are some similarities in terms of structure, teachers. Here there are teachers and there are professors, but there are some differences also in terms of grading, in terms of teaching methodology and all. Both are institutes that impart education, but they differ in terms of their delivery, in terms of their projection, in terms of their execution, because they handle different age students. Okay, so what we have done through this essay, we have compared two important aspects, that is high school and college. Now let us understand one more example. Let us take one more example. Okay, now I'm reading this example for you. All of you pay attention. Some people want to live in a house while others prefer living in an apartment. Does living in a house bring more advantages than living in an apartment? Give reasons for your answers and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience in 250 words. So in the previous session also, some of the students had asked me this question. Ma'am, what should be the length of such essays, such answers? Okay, now if you have a question for around, you know, uh, 20 marks. Now, I am not sure about the pattern, your paper pattern, but it could be 15 to 20 marks, or it could just be an essay. Write an essay, write a description on something. Then, if it's a descriptive essay, then the word limit is generally 250 words. 250 words means 25 lines. Okay, around 25 to 30 lines. To be precise, 25 lines. Okay, you getting what I'm saying? So now let us zero it down and let us actually do one example. Starting from tips and tricks. What we are learning? We are learning how to write an essay on differences. How to use a skill of differentiating, highlighting the differences, how to write that in an essay. And I'm sure this is going to help you write your answers in your bachelor program. Okay, so let us see the idea. Some people want to live in a house and some prefer living in an apartment. Apartment means building. And some people like to build their own house and they want to live in their house. And some people say, no, it is safe to stay in an apartment, like building, residential buildings. Now, two different ways. Okay, people live in houses. Some people also live in apartments. Now, does living in a house bring more advantages than living in an apartment? Do you think if you live in a house, म्हणजे तुम्ही बैठे घरात किंवा स्वतःच्या बंगल्यात राहत असाल, अगर आप खुद के बंगले में रह रहे हो, खुद का घर बांध के रह रहे हो, ओके, आप कमर्शियल बिल्डिंग में नहीं रह रहे हो सबके साथ. There are 20 flats and you are flat number 12. That's an apartment. You live in an apartment. Okay. So, do you think that living in a house is having more advantage than living in an apartment? Question. You are analyzing this. Okay. Opposite thoughts. Living in a house, living in an apartment. Contrast. Okay. Opposite ideas. How you are putting opposite ideas together. How you are comparing the data. Let us see this. We are going to write an essay on this topic. Okay, do you think people who live in a house have more advantages than people who live in an apartment? What is your idea? What is your opinion? What are your thoughts? How to do it? Okay, let us quickly see it. Pay attention. Before you write your essay, okay, a few things to keep in your mind. And those things are, you have to divide your whole essay into 4 paragraphs. You have to divide your whole essay into 4 paragraphs. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. How you will write? Give an introduction. Now, this particular question talks about people living in a house and people living in an apartment. बैठे घरात बंगल्यात राहणारे लोक आणि बिल्डिंग मध्ये राहणारे लोक, बिल्डिंग मध्ये छोटंसं घर घेऊन राहणारे लोक. Who is having more advantage? Question. Yes. So what is your understanding of question? You are writing information in the question in a statement form. Okay. You are reiterating the thought. You are re-representing the idea in 1 or 2 lines. Introduce the topic to your readers. Fine. Then change the para, write the main body. Now there are 2 aspects into this question. People living in a house and people living in an apartment. You decide what is your viewpoint. आपकी क्या राय है? First decide that. If you think that no, people living in apartment have more advantages. Some of you will say, no, I feel people living in a house, separate house, their own house, they have more benefits. Decide what is your viewpoint. It is very important to decide your viewpoint. Okay. When you decide your viewpoint, let's say you have decided that people living in an apartment have more advantages. Just an example. What you will do in paragraph 2, you will write about benefits of living in an apartment, in a building. Okay. So you can say living in an apartment is advantageous compared to living in a house. Explain with an example. Explaining it with an example is very important. You can't just talk blah, 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 theory. Whenever you're talking about similarities or differences, it is important you back it up with example, justification. उसको आपको एविडेंस देने की जरूरत है. एविडेंस आप कैसे दोगे? एक्झाम्पल के जरिए दोगे. उदाहरण देणं खूप गरजेचं आहे. कुठल्याही प्रकारच्या रायटिंग मध्ये तुम्ही जेव्हा उदाहरण देता तेव्हा तुम्ही जस्टिफाय करता and the reader or examiner appreciates it, because then he or she also feels convinced. You need to justify your viewpoints by giving some examples from research, some facts, real life examples. I feel so because So and so scientist has said the same thing. I have read his book and he also says the same thing. This is my own experience. That is the reason I say that living in an apartment is better than living in a house, because I had experienced this. Give example. Okay, your example will make your viewpoint very, very effective. Now this becomes 2 to 3 lines. Paragraph 2. Change your paragraph. It's still the main body. Now you will write disadvantages of another viewpoint. You have chosen that living in an apartment is beneficial. You have shared the benefits. But living in a house has lot of disadvantages. This is a negative point for you. Make a next paragraph and talk about disadvantages of living in a house. Talk about disadvantages of living in a house. How living in a house is disadvantageous for you? त्याचे disadvantages क्या है? अकेले एक बंगले में घर में रहने के नुकसान क्या है? Write 1 line, 2 line, but give examples. Okay. Say for example, you have to spend on security, and that goes all from your pocket. Whereas you can hire a security guard, and everybody living in an apartment can contribute towards the maintenance of the building and security arrangements. This advantage. Here it is disadvantage. What I have done, I have given an example. Justify your viewpoint always with examples. If you just don't give examples and just say blah blah blah, you should do this, that should be done this, that would sound like a gyan. That would sound like theory or gyan. So always provide base, provide evidence, justify it with real life examples. Or if you have read any theory, if you have read any important research article by scientists, researchers on that topic, back it up. For example, in this book, this particular author says this. On the basis of this information, I say that living in a house is disadvantageous. Or give real life examples. I have experienced living in a house is very disadvantageous. How? Okay, you're getting what I'm saying, my dear friends? So paragraph 3 is over. Paragraph 2 talks about you want to live in apartment, it is advantageous. How? Give examples. You don't want to live in a house, it is disadvantageous. How? What are the disadvantages? Give examples. Okay. Now finally, what you do is you write conclusion. It is very important to conclude your work. If you don't conclude your work, it will look very, very disconnected, and people will think that it is an incomplete work. So introduction is important, conclusion is extremely important. You're closing, you're summarizing the main point. What is the main point? That, to my opinion, people who live in apartment have more benefits to share compared to those who are living in the house. Okay, so you repeat what you have mentioned in the introduction. You repeat it in a different form using different phrases. And you always use, when you are writing conclusion, you can use phrases such as to summarize, in conclusion, okay, in summation, to summarize, in conclusion. You can use any one phrase and write the conclusion. Fine. Now let us, friends, this format is very, very important. Very important. Even if you want to write the difference in your exam, in your bachelor's, if you follow this, it is going to help you. Of course, I would urge you to take help from your professors, because they are the ones who are masters of that subject. But you can seek opinions from them. You can seek their help, that ma'am, sir, can I use this pattern to differentiate? And I'm sure they would add to this depending on the context. Okay, please isko use karo aap apne answers mein. So these are some words that we use if you want to use, if you want to compare and talk about similarities. Then you can words such as likewise, similarly, also, A is same as B, Both of them have common characteristics. Neither this nor has it. Both of them don't have it. Not only it has this feature, but also it has the another feature. Both are alike, both are same, okay, to compare with. You could use these words because when you use these linking words, okay, these are conjunctions. In the previous class, somebody guessed it right, conjunctions. So these are conjunctions. They are also called linking words. Do use your linking words when you are presenting an essay or answer based on similarities and differences. Okay, that will have a very great impact on your examiner and reader. Okay, so just like you use similar terms, what kind of different terms based on differences you will use? ये दो चीजें एक दूसरे से अलग है, वैविध्य ही गोष्ट ह्याच्यापेक्षा वेगळी आहे. अरे हे दोन अपोजिट आहेत, ते वेगळे कसे आहेत? A is having this feature. In contrast, B is far different from A. In comparison with B, A has these features. Okay, crop A is cultivated in winter. On the other hand, crop B is cultivated during the summertime. Opposites. Similarly, you could use whereas, while, however, but, to differ from. Something differs from, alag hai, वेगळा आहे. A differs from B in terms of कुठल्या बाबतीत A आणि B वेगळे आहेत सांगा. Okay, to be similar to. Something is dissimilar to. Dissimilar means alag, opposite, juda. Okay, to be different from or to be dissimilar to. These mean same. All of them mean same. Okay, but then don't use the same phrase everywhere. Maybe in first paragraph you have used these phrases. In second paragraph you can use these phrases. Okay, give it a combination of different phrases. This is my suggestion, my dear friends. If there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 phrases, at least keep 4 to 5 phrases in mind. Okay, at least keep 4 to 5 phrases in mind. So when you're writing an essay on comparison contrast, you remember those phrases. अगर आप 3 से 5 phrases भी use कर लो, आपका essay बहुत अच्छा दिखेगा. तुमचा essay खूप छान दिसणार. Same goes with similarities. You remember 4 to 5 of them and keep using different words in different sentences. Don't use the same word again. For comparison, for similarities, or for differences, don't use the same linking word again in the paragraph. Use different words. त्यांचं meaning same आहे. Okay, so let us read an essay. This essay is based on topic. Some people want to live in a house while others prefer living in an apartment. Does living in a house bring more advantages than living in an apartment? What is your opinion? What do you think? Is it advantageous to stay in an apartment, or is it good and beneficial to stay in a house, your own house? Okay, so let us check. There are many people who believe that living in a house is the best. However, some people disagree with this opinion and instead prefer to live in an apartment. This essay makes comparison of the two and chooses the most preferred opinion. To begin with, living in a flat definitely brings several advantages to resident. One of the most important reasons behind this is huge convenience it offers. An apartment is a part of large building, giving a feel of living in a small societal association, which takes responsibility of any fix or repair or maintenance required. For example, if one needs to repair the roof, the maintenance charges are borne by the landlord. Moreover, various facilities as well as amenities are available nearby, including shopping mall, tuition center, medical store, bus station, and so on. On the other hand, living in an own house does not offer facilities that one can avail while living in an apartment. One reason for this is that it is quite lonely to stay in a house which occupies a large land area, bringing boredom, snatching the joy of living with so many people around. For example, it would be such a dull experience of sitting alone in the garden with no one around to share life experiences. In addition to this, maintenance and cleanliness of the house are borne by owner. Thus, it is costly to live in a house. Conclusively, living in an apartment is comparatively better than staying lonely in a house. Though a house provides a large spacious area to move around, but living in an apartment enhances more social interaction and adds more excitement to life. Now, if we follow the tips that we have recently read, how we can follow them? You have to give a proper introduction. Okay, people believe that living in a house is best, and some people believe that living in an apartment is best. So, this essay makes comparison of the two. This essay, what is the intention of this essay? We are comparing the two thoughts, living in house or living in apartment. Okay. Now, this particular paragraph 2, talks about apartment, advantages of apartment, as per the keynotes we have learned in the previous slide. And the second para talks about disadvantages of living in a house, positives of your viewpoints, okay, and how you are going against, how you are using points against living in a house, how living in a house is disadvantageous. Fine. So you use words, contrasting, linking words, however, okay, then you use words such as one more reason, you use words such as in addition to this, you use words such as moreover to exemplify, to, for example. It is very important to use these highlighted words because they are linking words, okay, and they add lot of interest in the mind of reader, because then the reader is excited to know, oh, what next, what next, what next. So these are advantages of living in an apartment. Okay, if there is any technical problem, maintenance problem, if you're living in a rental house, your landlord is going to bear the expense. You don't have to worry about it. There are lots of facilities and amenities available. Okay, when you're living in an apartment, you're living in a city, and it's easy to reach shopping mall, tuition center. Infrastructure is easily available. Necessary facilities are very, very easily reachable. But if you're living in a house, that house is preferably a bungalow, and which will be generally located in far off place, somewhere away from city, then you will have such disadvantages. It's a lonely place. You cannot socialize. Okay, you can't be around people because there won't be many people living in such a house in a long this remote place. Okay, and then it's a dull experience living away from people in a lonely house. And you know what? Maintenance, cleanliness, you will have to bear all expenses. You as an owner, if you're owning that house. Whereas if you're living in an apartment, there are 20 people living in an apartment, cleaning, hygiening, maintenance, trash, management, everything is divided. Okay, it is divided, it is shared, it's everybody's responsibility. Just like if you are living in a building, um, there is a person who comes and picks your trash. All of you contribute and pay him on monthly basis. If there is a water scarcity, there's a problem, and you want to add one more pipeline, everybody in the building, all those people living in 20 flats, they will contribute and they will pay, and they will get that extra pipeline. So everybody is having ample of water. Power of collective responsibility. Okay, that you don't get it in house. Fine. So this is talking about disadvantages, this is talking about advantages. Stressing upon point but giving example is very important. Giving example is very, very important. Justify your point with example. Oh, this is advantageous. How? Give an example. This is not of any much use. This is disadvantageous. How? Give example. And then you conclude the whole thing by saying, okay, both viewpoints, apartment provides you uh, better better environment, uh, and you know, houses give you peace, it gives you spacious area to move, but then when it comes to social interaction, apartments are very, very important. You have so many people who live here, so there are pluses and minuses. It's up to us what we choose in our life. I am sure you have understood with the help of these linking words and with the help of this cohesive structure of this essay, how to present similar and dissimilar ideas. So here is an exercise for you. I'm sure you will take time, you will make time to solve this exercise. And I hope that I have delivered this session at my best. Do you have queries? You might put them in the chat box. You can unmute and talk. I am done at my end. I have delivered it at my end, and I've concluded it at my end. So anybody having any doubts, you may put this in the chat box. कोणाला काही doubts आहेत? किसी को कुछ doubts है? If you have, you can ask me. If you do not have, then we can conclude the session. Yes. So I'm sure you like this session. How was the session, my dear friends? सगळ्यांना सेशन आवडलं का? ह्याच्यातनं तुम्हाला जी माहिती मिळाली आहे त्याचा तुम्हाला तुमच्या एकेडमिक टेस्ट साठी उपयोग होईल का? आपको ये जो इंफॉर्मेशन मिली है, ये पीपीटीज हम लोगों ने स्टडी किए, उसका आपको फायदा होगा? Will that reflect into your scores? Will that help you write, express yourself in a better way? Okay, so I conclude today's session, and I would be happy if you put in the feedback and then leave. Thank you everyone. Thanks a lot, and looking forward to seeing you in one more session, one more exciting session. Can I conclude, sir? Can we consider this session done, sir? Manohar, sir? अनारसे सर, आपलं सेशन संपलंय असं आपण जाहीर करू शकतो का? If you have doubts, you can definitely ask me. If you have any doubts, you can definitely put in the chat box. अनारसे सर, सेशन कन्क्लूड करता येईल का सर?
हॅलो.
हा सर, सेशन कन्क्लूड करता येईल. सेशन झालेलं आहे, म्हणजे माझ्याकडनं सेशन संपलेलं आहे. सो मला तुमची